Welcome back to Zodiac Talks Tarot, the place where intuition meets research, where ancient symbolism meets modern psychology, and where we poke gently at destiny until it reveals what it has been trying to say all along. If you're new here, make yourself comfortable. And if you've been with me for a while, you know the drill. Grab some water, take a breath, and let's step into the deeper layers of the story the cards are whispering today. Our focus this session is Sagittarius. Whether you are a Sagittarius sun, moon, rising, or Venus, this is your space, your message, and your moment. And for those of you who identify as the spiritual chosen ones of this lifetime, walking into the year of triumph 2025 with intention and clarity, today's reading may resonate even more than usual. Sagittarius energy has been loud lately, louder than a fire sign at a family gathering where nobody asked for their opinion but they gave it anyway. And today, the cards behaved exactly like that, loud, unfiltered, hyperactive, and strangely determined to tell a story whether I was ready or not. There are days when the deck feels calm and almost meditative, as if the cards are sitting cross-legged and chanting in unison. And then there are days like today, where the energy felt like a deck that had consumed 3 iced coffees, a Red Bull, and was still asking for a matcha on the side. Cards flying, flipping, insisting, interrupting each other like a group of extroverted Sagittarians trying to share the same microphone. When the energy behaves like that, I know something significant is trying to emerge. The first card that jumped out was the Star. Aquarius energy, yes, but more importantly, a moment of soul-level recognition. The Star is that gentle but unmistakable tug from the universe reminding you that your journey is not finished, no matter how many detours you've taken or how many closed doors you've had to walk away from. It is the cosmic reassurance that you are still on your path even when the path feels like it's been drawn in disappearing ink. And for many Sagittarians right now, that reminder is necessary. Some of you have been feeling like your story hit a strange pause, like life pressed the slow motion button without your permission. The Star comes in to say, you're not done. You're being rewritten. But as dramatic as the Star was, it did not appear alone. Almost immediately, the Four of Wands followed it like an uninvited but persistent guest. If you've ever tried to skip an ad on Spotify only to realize it's not skippable, that is exactly how the Four of Wands behaved. It appeared, disappeared, and reappeared again until I stopped and said, alright, fine, we're talking about it. This is classic twin flame frequency, and while I don't use that term lightly, the energy around it was unmistakable. For some of you, this is a soul bond that defies linear explanation. It's the kind of connection that doesn't ask for your permission before showing up in your dreams, your intuition, or your throat when you're trying to talk yourself out of caring. Now, let me make something very clear. I am not here to sell anyone a fairytale. Twin flame journeys are not the romanticized version most people think. They're not about two people meeting, falling in love, and doing synchronized spiritual yoga poses under the moonlight. They are far messy. They are the kind of journeys that trigger 5-year healing arcs, unexpected therapy sessions, late-night existential monologues, and those moments when you stare at the ceiling asking the universe why it decided to assign you this level of emotional homework. A true twin flame dynamic is less Disney movie and more spiritual boot camp with cosmic consequences. That said, the energy today feels meaningful. It feels like something is stirring in the Sagittarius collective, something destiny-driven, something unavoidable, and something that carries the peculiar honesty and humor that Sagittarius is known for. The cards kept repeating one message: this isn't over. This connection, whatever form it takes, has roots deeper than fear. As the reading unfolded, it became obvious that the bond showing up today is one that defies simple logic. There is a sense of unfinished business, a spiritual thread that keeps tugging at both sides. Psychologically, This often happens when two people meet at a timing mismatch, when the soul recognizes something long before the ego is prepared to deal with it. The sensation appears in the cards like two magnets attempting to reorient themselves, pulling forward then backward, unsure which direction promises safety. It's the emotional equivalent of pacing the hallway looking for the right answer but feeling terrified to ask the right question. And here's where the deeper psychological layer reveals itself. One person in this connection, perhaps the one you're thinking of right now, is not running from you. They're not running from love. They are running from the truth, specifically the truth they believe will change everything. In Buddhist philosophy, truth is liberation, even when it feels uncomfortable. But many people mistake temporary discomfort for imminent loss, and so they hide. They conceal. They delay. They tell themselves that silence is safer than clarity. But silence rarely protects anyone, it merely postpones the healing. The cards made this clear. The fear in this connection isn't rooted in rejection but in vulnerability. Someone is afraid that revealing what they've been carrying, whether it's a past mistake, a lingering attachment, or simply the emotional weight they have never expressed, will threaten the possibility of reconciliation. Ironically, this fear is the very thing preventing healing. Sagittarius energy, being deeply intuitive despite its reputation for bluntness, already senses this. Many of you can feel the unspoken tension like a low-frequency hum in the background of your days. Even when you're focusing on your career, friendships, or personal growth, there is a subtle awareness that something in your love life remains unresolved. Psychology calls this emotional incompletion, astrology calls it karmic continuation. Either way, it's real. In the days ahead, this reading suggests a slow unraveling of truths, a gradual lifting of veils, and a moment where clarity becomes unavoidable. Not because someone suddenly becomes brave, but because destiny has a way of turning silence into revelation at exactly the right time. And as we move deeper into the year of triumph 2025, Sagittarians especially will find that unresolved connections begin resurfacing with purpose rather than chaos. So as we enter this reading, prepare to look at this connection not with fear, but with the curiosity of someone who understands that every soul bond, even the confusing ones, teaches something. Prepare to examine the psychological layers, the karmic threads, and the spiritual timing that brought you to this point. And yes, prepare for a little humor too, because if there is one sign that can laugh in the middle of emotional transformation, it's Sagittarius. Let's go deeper into the cards and see what destiny is truly unfolding for you now. When the Ace of Swords appears reversed in a reading where every card in the deck has been carefully placed upright, it's as if the universe itself leans over, taps you on the shoulder like a no-nonsense mentor, and tells you to stop whatever else you're doing because something important is trying to get your attention. The Ace of Swords reversed is the classic elephant in the room. It's that unsent text message, that swallowed confession, that truth sitting with its arms crossed and refusing to move because someone in this connection, maybe your person, maybe you, is carrying a truth so heavy they're afraid to put it down. And the fascinating thing about human psychology is that silence is rarely about deceit, more often, it's a misguided attempt at protection. People hide things not because they want to betray another person, but because they're terrified the truth will cost them something they feel unprepared to lose. In this particular situation, the fear runs even deeper. Someone here genuinely believes that revealing the truth might cost them you, your trust, your warmth, your presence, or the fragile possibility of reconciliation. The cards show this loudly, and Sagittarius, sometimes you underestimate just how much emotional influence you have on someone because you're independent enough to assume they're fine without you. But the energy here speaks of a connection that is sacred to the other person, perhaps confusing, perhaps overwhelming, but fundamentally meaningful in a way they cannot easily dismiss. And as the reading deepened, the Death card came crashing through in a way that only the Death card can, not dramatic for the sake of drama, but dramatic because truth and transformation do not arrive politely. When the Death card shows up alongside the Moon and the Devil hovering in the background, it is a clear sign that a secret is sitting at the core of this connection. There's no point sugarcoating it. Whether this truth involves a past mistake they've been avoiding, a lingering attachment they haven't figured out how to release, a fear that paralyzes them, or simply a situation from their life they're ashamed to expose, they are convinced it would push you away. The irony, of course, is that this fear, the fear of losing you, is the very thing keeping them distant. It is the paradox that psychology, spirituality, and even Buddhist philosophy all recognize: the more someone tries to avoid truth, the more suffering they create. Avoidance tries to preserve love by keeping it untouched, but in reality, it starves it of oxygen. And any long-term practitioner of these readings, anyone who has spent years studying the human condition, emotional behavior, karmic patterns, and the symbolic language of tarot can tell you that avoidance never saves relationships. It only delays the healing that could have created stronger foundations. In Buddhism, truth is viewed as liberation, even when it hurts, because truth breaks illusions and allows genuine compassion to take root. But people rarely fear the truth itself, they fear the consequences of admitting it. Your person is standing at that crossroads now, torn between hiding what they believe will hurt you and knowing that revealing it may be the only path toward transformation. On your side of the energy, Sagittarius, there is a steady, quiet strength. You are not chasing, you are not begging, you are not losing your center. Instead, you are doing something extremely characteristic of evolved Sagittarius energy. You are pretending, quite convincingly, to be completely fine, all while internally hosting a well-organized emotional conference complete with charts, graphs, and maybe even a few hypothetical scenarios labeled "what I should have said." Sagittarians often mask depth with humor or independence, not because they lack emotion but because they refuse to drown in it. You are focusing on your responsibilities, your goals, your visions for the future. The cards around your energy carry that Nine of Pentacles glow, the image of someone who is learning to thrive independently, building a stable foundation, nurturing themselves, and quietly reclaiming personal power one small victory at a time. And this is precisely what people who walk the path of the chosen ones do during transitions. They turn inward, not in isolation but in refinement. They declutter spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They peel back layers that no longer serve their growth. They get ready for the next stage of their life's purpose. This reading is unmistakably tied to the energetic shift of the Year of Triumph 2025, a year where Sagittarians in particular will feel old karmic cycles dissolving, outdated emotional patterns shedding, and new spiritual awakenings becoming impossible to ignore. Your love story, whatever stage it is in, is part of that transformation. Not the whole story, not the definition of your destiny, but a significant chapter that is teaching you something essential about truth, self-worth, and emotional alignment. You may feel like you've moved on or that you are at least operating functionally without this person's presence, and in many ways, you are. But the cards show that the emotional thread between you and this person hasn't snapped, it has simply softened. It's not attachment, not longing, not desperation. Sagittarius energy rarely indulges in those states for long. Instead, it's a subtle ache, a quiet awareness, the kind of memory that doesn't interrupt your life but occasionally taps the inside of your heart with a gentle reminder of what might have been. Yet your focus remains forward. You are preparing yourself for new doors to open, new experiences to unfold, and new lessons to embrace. And maybe that's exactly why this revelation, this avoided truth on your person's side, is being prepared for release. Sometimes, when one person finally reaches emotional maturity and alignment, the universe nudges the other to confront what they have avoided. So here you stand, carrying your own strength, your own clarity, your own forward momentum, while the other person wrestles with their silence and the fear that keeps them there. This reading is not predicting doom or reunion, it is predicting truth. And truth tends to appear at the exact moment when both souls are finally ready to evolve beyond the illusion that kept them stuck. And Sagittarius, whether this truth leads to closure or reconnection, it will be part of your triumph. While you are out there grounding yourself and rebuilding your sense of purpose brick by brick, your person is essentially performing in the mental Olympics, except nobody asked them to compete and there are no medals for what they're doing. Their energy comes through the cards in a way that is almost painfully transparent. The Emperor shows a need for control, a sense of wanting to sit on their emotional throne and appear entirely unbothered, even though beneath that armor they're about as steady as a folding chair at a family reunion. Then comes the Page of Cups, the part of them that wants to reach out, express something honest and tender, maybe send a message they've written and rewritten 12 times. The King of Wands energy speaks to that passionate urge to take decisive action, to just show up at your metaphorical door and fix everything in one grand gesture. And yet, the Six of Swords suggests they want peace, some kind of emotional resolution that doesn't involve them handing over their entire ribcage. But the Three of Swords combined with the Moon reveals the truth they're not showing. They are hurting, confused, and trying to hide their pain the way a child hides a broken toy behind their back, poorly, obviously, and with a level of hope that borders on delusion. The whole combination gives off the very specific vibe of someone who is emotionally constipated but spiritually obsessed with you, someone who feels everything intensely but wants to pretend they don't feel anything at all. This person is replaying your last conversation so often they could probably recite it like a monologue. They're analyzing the last message you sent, the last look you gave them, the moment you pulled back, the shift in your energy. They're not just thinking about it, they're dissecting it like a scientist who finally got their hands on a rare specimen. What's fascinating and a little ironic is that modern psychology backs up exactly what the cards are showing us. One of my favorite social psychology studies confirms that people often fear vulnerability because they believe it exposes their flaws and makes them undesirable, when in reality vulnerability is what strengthens connection and trust. Your person hasn't fully internalized that yet. They still treat vulnerability like a personal threat rather than a bridge. But they're getting closer. Their resistance is softening. Their internal battle is becoming louder than their silence. And eventually, something has to give. Then there's the Justice card, which doesn't show up unless a connection carries karmic gravity. This isn't karmic punishment, it's karmic balancing. It's the universe nudging you both toward the lessons you've avoided, the patterns you inherited, and the emotional truths you've suppressed for far too long. One or both of you is facing wounds that didn't start with this connection but have been illuminated by it. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of transparency, fear of choosing wrong, fear of losing independence, fear of repeating painful cycles. These are not small themes. These are the emotional blueprints that shape how we love, how we attach, how we protect ourselves, and how we sabotage things we deeply want. You are not responsible for fixing this person's karma, just as they are not responsible for fixing yours. But the connection itself is acting as a catalyst, a mirror reflecting unhealed pieces back at both of you whether you asked for it or not. Sagittarius often serves as the spiritual wake-up call in people's lives. You bring truth, clarity, a challenge to illusions, a kind of raw honesty that not everyone is ready to receive. Some people crave your light but aren't prepared to stand in it. Chosen ones are rarely received gently because your presence activates dormant paths in others, pathways they weren't planning to explore until you walked in and rearranged the lighting. Your person is more activated than they care to admit. The cards show a storm of emotions they refuse to articulate but cannot escape. They believe you've moved on, and whether or not that's true, the mere thought of it rattles them. They feel guilty about what they said or didn't say, guilty about pulling away or not showing up in the way you deserved. They feel ashamed of their avoidance, of the truth they haven't shared, of the vulnerability they keep choking back. They feel scared that if they reach for you, they'll find nothing but emptiness. And yet, they still want you. Not casually, not half-heartedly, but in a way that has them holding on to hope even when they're trying to convince themselves they're above such things. They feel you pulling away, and it's sending them into a quiet panic they wouldn't admit even if you asked them directly. The Seven of Cups keeps appearing in this reading like a flashing neon sign. That's the card of indecision, emotional overwhelm, analysis paralysis, essentially the spiritual version of standing in a Target parking lot at midnight arguing with yourself about whether to go home or buy ice cream and panic journal for 2 hours. This isn't someone strolling away confidently. This is someone pacing their living room asking themselves how they can possibly fix this without losing everything. But the part of the reading that surprised even me was what came next. When the Ten of Cups and Ten of Pentacles appear together, it's a rare alignment. The Ten of Cups represents emotional fulfillment, the kind of happiness that isn't performative but soul-deep. The Ten of Pentacles represents long-term stability, legacy, partnership that goes beyond romance into shared foundation. These cards don't show up together unless a connection carries extraordinary potential. But potential is simply the blueprint, it's not the building itself. Potential means that if both souls evolve, if both people step into truth, if both surrender the illusions and the fears that have been holding them back, then something truly remarkable can form between you. The reading makes it clear that this connection is not over, not dissolved, not forgotten. But the outcome depends entirely on truth. Not timing, not luck, not desire. Truth. Truth is the gatekeeper in this connection. Truth is the bridge between what was and what could be. Truth is the medicine that heals the wounds silence created. And ultimately, that's what the cards are preparing both of you for. Truth spoken, truth revealed, truth accepted. Because no matter how strong the potential is or how deep the emotions run, nothing will move forward until truth becomes stronger than fear. From a Buddhist perspective, attachment is the quiet architect of suffering, not because love is wrong, but because clinging distorts the truth of what is meant to flow naturally, and that wisdom is woven throughout this reading for you, Sagittarius. Detachment isn't about shutting down or pretending you no longer care, it's about seeing clearly, about understanding that releasing the outcome doesn't mean releasing hope. Your guidance now is to detach from results but hold firmly to faith, because those two are not the same, and anyone who's spent years studying the psyche, the zodiac, or the human condition knows the difference is everything. You're being called to focus on your own healing, your identity, your path, your work, your self-worth, and your spiritual alignment, not in a self-centered way, but in a self-respecting way. The Year of Triumph 2025 is not designed around someone else's indecision, it is designed around your rise, your transformation, your readiness to step into a version of yourself that no longer apologizes for wanting more. And the irony, which the universe often finds amusing, is that the moment you reach that emotional altitude, you naturally attract one of two things, either a healed version of the person who once couldn't meet you in truth, or a soul who arrives already capable of matching your fire, your clarity, and your depth. Either outcome is a win, because the heart of Sagittarius isn't built for stagnation, it is built for evolution. You don't lose. You expand. You refine. You outgrow the version of yourself that stayed small to accommodate someone else's fears. And since humor is practically the native language of Sagittarius, let's acknowledge the cosmic joke here. Your approach to love has always swung between two extremes: either I would cross oceans for you, or I'm sorry, I don't recall ever meeting that person. There really is no middle ground with you, and that's part of your charm. Your person chose the least strategic zodiac sign to hide a truth from, because Sagittarius intuition is essentially a lie detector engineered by NASA, powered by Jupiter, and connected to a Wi-Fi network that never disconnects. Even when you don't know the details, you feel the truth humming under the surface, which makes your confusion understandable. You are sensing everything they won't say. But the beauty of this reading is that your story with this person is not finished. It is paused, not erased. Delayed, not denied. Being restructured, not destroyed. There is a revelation coming, a confession forming, a moment of clarity on the horizon that will allow the air to clear in a way it hasn't before. However, your role for now is not to wait by the door like an unpaid emotional security guard. Your role is to live your life, sharpen your arrow, stay aligned with your higher self, and continue walking as the chosen one you are. What is meant for you is circling back, not because you hovered, not because you pleaded, but because you grew into the person destiny has been shaping you to become. And Sagittarius, you need to hear this without hesitation. 2025 is your year of triumph. It is a year where your confidence becomes your compass, where your healing becomes your magnet, and where your joy becomes non-negotiable. So go live boldly. Laugh loudly. Fall in love with your own life again. And if this message resonated, if you felt the truth threading through these words, don't forget to like this video, share it with another Sagittarius who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps Zodiac Talks Tarot alive, evolving, and ready to guide you through every twist of destiny's path.